Hi guys, welcome back to the channel where today I'll be taking you through how much work I get up to and what work I get up to each week as an A-level maths student. So yeah, I'm not really going to do anything different or special for this video. All I'll really be doing is taking you through how much work I get up to each week and also explaining what work I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I've managed to split up the work I get up to each week into these 5 main sections. Section 1 is revisit, section 2 is review, section 3 is revise, section 4 is refining exam technique, and section 5 is revision, but specifically for any upcoming tests or anything like that. So this video will probably entail me spending about a couple of minutes on each of these 5 sections, just explaining what I'm doing this week, what I generally do, why I'm doing it, and just taking you through some questions as well and talking through. So hopefully you find that both interesting and insightful. So if that sounds appealing to you, stick around and I hope you enjoy the video. So section 1 is revisit, and this is where I revisit topics from earlier in the course, so going over stuff from year 12. For me, this is mainly mechanics because I did a lot of the A-level mechanics in the first year of sixth form, and it's just so everything can stay fresh and accurate. I don't do anything crazy for this section. It's really just 3 or 4 questions a week, and again, it's just making sure I'm not forgetting topics and everything is fresh in my mind. And this basically just relieves me of any pressure that could be there as I get closer to the actual exam, so I'd really recommend doing this section. This is probably the most interesting question I did this week for this section. It's just a ladders question where you have to find the distance between one end of the ladder and the ladder's centre of mass, given that the ladder is on the point of slipping. Pause if you would like to read the question, and I'll show you my answer. So in order to solve this question, what I've done is I've resolved forces both vertically and horizontally. I've then taken moments about point A, and I've also used the coefficient of friction equations. For my moments equation, I've made x the subject, where x is a distance here, and then I have substituted in from the top equations into this moments equation so that each term is in terms of R2. As there is an R2 in each term on both the numerator and denominator, these can cancel out, and I'm left with x in terms of L. So now onto the review section. The review section is basically just a selection of questions that test my understanding of a recent topic that I've done in maths. So for this week, the review section is just a selection of questions about differential equations. This week I did about 9 questions in this section, and it took me about an hour to complete. I won't lie to you, I don't find differential equations that thrilling, but question 6 here was probably the most fun. Pause to read if you would like to, and we'll go through my solution again afterwards. So even if you're yet to formally study differential equations, I think you'll probably be able to make sense of this. Basically, you bring the y over to the side with a dy by dx on it. You then integrate both sides with respect to x, but you can see on the left hand side the dx's basically cancel out, so we're just integrating that side with respect to y. After integrating both sides, you have your constant of integration. You plug in your values of y equals 1 and x equals 0 to find what c equals in this case. You then have an equation for y and x, and you just rearrange to make the y the subject. So yeah, it's not actually too difficult, it just looks a lot more fancy than it actually is. So now on to section 3, which is revise. This is basically just going over a topic that I did a month or 2 ago, and doing about 8 or 9 exam-like questions on this topic. So this week for me, it is going over a bit of differentiation, which I did at the start of this academic year. So yeah, exam-like questions on differentiation so I can keep it fresh and up to date in my mind. So for this week, there wasn't really many questions that really stood out that I thought I should show you. So I just thought I'd show you all the questions I did. Maybe you can give a couple a go, and if you're not, you can basically see what I get up to and what I did this week. This section probably took me an hour. So yeah, if you want to try a couple questions, have a go. If not, then just enjoy looking at some differentiation questions. And now on to section 4, which is just refining exam technique. This section is just a past exam paper, which basically just helps me refine my exam strategy and learn to complete questions in time situations. This week, the past paper that I was doing was the June 2012 Core 4 paper. It's 75 marks, so it should take about an hour and a half to complete. I'll do a past paper each week, just so I can really get prepared for what the actual A-level is going to be like. So yeah. So for section 5 this week, there's not really much I can do. I actually had a maths test today, a mechanics test, so it may have been a bit more insightful and a bit wiser if I actually recorded this video last week and then I could have shown you something for this section. I'll show you a bit of a revision I did do for the mechanics test now. So here's just a selection of a few questions that I did do in preparation for my mechanics test last week. So my mechanics test was on 4 main topics: SUVAT, projectiles, vectors in 2 dimensions, and moments. I guess you also have in there resolving forces, but These were the 4 main topics on that test. The website that I used for a lot of these past papers and past paper questions that I did was malasmaths.com, a really, really good website. So yeah, here you go. So yeah, I guess that kind of concludes the video. Sorry for not talking much about that last section, but like I said at the beginning, this was meant to be like a realistic thing that I do each week. So I wasn't planning on doing anything extra just to fill that category. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe and stick around for more weekly content like this. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a week's time.